Welcome back, data enthusiasts. Today's conversation was with Leonid Moiseev. He is data platform leader at Vivid Money. They are the fintech startup. It was a deep dive into data cataloging, and we focused on the perspective of businesses who are going through the implementation process. So that includes the tools, the processes, and all the people from a data perspective that are involved in the implementation, as well as involved in the maintenance of data catalogs. We talked about the features of a good data catalog solution. We also talked about how business stakeholders not only can gather value from a data platform tool, but also how they would use a data platform tool. Then we also looked at the emerging trends and innovations in data cataloging, and you can tell from the conversation that Leonid is an expert and enthusiast in this domain. So really interesting for somebody or a business who is investing in data catalogs for the first time. Enjoy the pod. Introduce me to data cataloging. Who are the main stakeholders involved in cataloging, and why has data cataloging become so essential to organizations?
So the main stakeholders are different teams in our company. The first of all is our own team. We are one of the major stakeholders. We need a data catalog for our own reasons. I could explain it a little bit later. So another stakeholders is data analysts. They need data cataloging for data observability, for data lineage, and some process automation. And the third major stakeholders is a data protection team. So it's essential for them to see our data lineage, data sources, how we use customers' data, whether we are compliant. I would say we're compliant, but it's important for them to make sure that we do.
So yeah, I get all the data-related stakeholders there, and there are many hands involved in this systematic response to business needs. Let's give a more high-level introduction to data cataloging then. What is it? And in your role as a data leader, why is it relevant to you?
So data cataloging is a platform that stores all relations between different data objects, like tables, like topics, like data sources, files, and so on. And it allows users to search for this data and to see data lineage. For example, there is a pipeline, and data catalog allows us to see the whole pipeline from the data sources to the destination, like Snowflake table.
So, okay.
But in general, it's like a reflection of a data platform in our case. So it's not a formal definition, but I see it's like a reflection of everything we have in our data platform.
I see. And you mentioned about data and or business people being able to search and find data they need. How is that different from a data discovery tool?
It's also a data discovery tool, but it's more than a data discovery tool, at least in our case. So we're using Data Hub, and it's like a data discovery tool. And there are also some messages, some API that allow us to automate process. For example, if a new object appears, like a Snowflake table, you could automatically grant access control to a specific group. Or we could send a message to a Slack channel that, so we have a new object and you could take a look at it.
Interesting. Access control and general automations. You mentioned Data Hub there. Of course, other big ones are Cloudera and Informatica. What other big or small data cataloging tools are you aware of at the moment that are doing a great job?
So we prefer open source ones, is Data Hub and Open Metadata. So Data Hub is better. Data Hub is better for us because it's from LinkedIn, and we have a similar data platform like in LinkedIn. So we use data-driven development. So we use real-time pipelines. We use Kafka a lot. We use real-time transformations, and it fits our data platform the best.
Good. Data professionals, at least, data professionals will be more than familiar with data cataloging. If we look at this for a moment from the business perspective, especially for a CTO or a business leader that needs to make a decision about data cataloging, what are the major value adds of cataloging?
I would say data observability, and I would say it's the major benefit for the business. And perhaps data automation. So if a business doesn't want to scale to hire new people linearly when data objects grow, so it's important to automate a lot of process. And data catalog and other tools allow business to achieve it.
Interesting. Well, when we talk about organizing data and cleaning data, such as the data engineer's position or activities, would that not also relate to the business? Would they not feel directly the value of those tasks of organizing the data, or is it more secondary for them?
Yeah, it's also important, but it's in our case, it's not the task for data catalog. So it could display what other data components doing. So in our case, before the ingestion, we try some clean, we do some transformation, and we make sure that this process work. And but when we do it, some data transformation, we could send an event to a Data Hub, data catalog, that this data was ingested successfully, and an end user could see this in a data catalog that this table was updated 10 minutes ago or so. But it's not a task for a data catalog to clean the data. So just a data discovery tool in this case.
Yeah, okay.
Data discovery, data governance. Yeah.
Okay, data discovery, data governance, data observability.
Yeah.
You've mentioned in our case a couple of times, and of course you're in the fintech domain. How would the fintech domain and the use of data cataloging differ from that of e-commerce or travel tech or any other domain?
Yeah, it's a good question. In my opinion, fintech is a very complicated domain. So there are a lot of different products, and we have to combine all the data from different products for data marts, for analytics, for our own data products. And we also do marketing, we also do customer acquisition. We work both B2B and B2C. And we have to use the best tools available to be competitive, I would say. So I would say, for example, if in another domain, I saw your previous podcast, and there were people from different domains, startups, and they started small, and it worked for them, and it's fine. But we can't start with Sheets, for example, Google Sheets, or it wouldn't work for us because we have more complicated products and we have to scale.
So it's data cataloging is essential when a business is in or has a level of complexity.
Yeah.
Is it also about scale of the business?
It's also about the scale of the business. So if you onboard new analysts or other data roles, it's much easier to onboard them if you have a data map, if you have data pipelines, you could show them. So we use these data sources, we use these data marts for such products, we have these domains, and yeah, it's much easier. And it would be less questions for a central data team or core data team, and yeah, it would be so-called self-service.
Okay, so back to the business and those decision makers. What are the essential features that they should be looking for when evaluating different data catalog solutions?
Yeah, it's a good question. I remember a good article from LinkedIn, and they described different tiers of data cataloging, like its evolution. And I would say nowadays, I would recommend to see a solution that allows to ingest data from different sources itself. It provides an API to ingest, to make ingestion from a third-party application. It should provide data lineage possibilities. Perhaps on a column level, data lineage is more complicated. And it's important to have an ability to ingest data in real time, not in batches, 1 hour, every 1 hour, every 2 hours, but yeah, in real time.
Real time from multiple sources and using third-party APIs.
Yeah, and it's also important, at least for us, that it should have an access control, so we could divide users for different groups. We have to provide access to specific objects, not for the all objects.
Okay, we're talking about data cataloging as a platform or a tool to be used, and there are several different branded solutions you can use, open source or otherwise. Do you see this area evolving? Do you see emerging trends and innovations in data cataloging, the way businesses are making use of these platforms?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, pray tell.
Yeah. So there is a competition on the market. So as I mentioned, Data Hub and Open Metadata, they're both open source. There was another solution, Atlan or so. It was closed source. Yeah. And it was also a major player on the market. But with the appearance of new open source projects, it's much better for an end customer. So he can choose the best solution that fits, and a company could install it, open source products in their own infrastructure and support it without dependencies.
What differentiates those three products from others then? How are they so much better or so much different?
So they're modern. As I mentioned, they allow to ingest data from third-party APIs. They allow to ingest data from itself. So it's like a pull-push integration. And they provide data lineage on a table level, on the column level.
I like it. I can tell you're a whiz at this topic. Okay, we work with a bunch of startups to scale-ups, and some of those businesses will be considering data cataloging maybe for the first time. Could you talk me through, from a leadership perspective, the basic steps to implementing a data catalog, whether it be the tools, the people, or the process?
So I would recommend to take a look at all major players, at least 3-4 in data cataloging. Try to see a demo version. So there are demo versions available online. It's free, and yeah, it's good to see how it works, whether it works for your needs, and it's also possible to install them locally or in your infrastructure. So it would be the next step. And it's also important to check documentation, how it's possible to ingest data, how it's possible to integrate with your other internal systems. And yeah. And if a business leader wants to go further, I believe it would require it would be choice whether to go in a cloud or to install it locally and support maintain it with your own resources.
Which team members of the data team are going to be essential if you are to implement the data catalog? If say, the CTO or the co-founder has made a decision, we are investing in data cataloging and I need person A, B, and C, who are those people going to be?
In the best case scenario, he would need a one person, an experienced data engineer. So this data engineer should know some DevOps, how to manage a namespace in a Kubernetes cluster, how to deploy applications, and how to integrate with different databases, DBT, Snowflake, Kafka, and so on. In a general scenario, he would need three roles: a data engineer, a DevOps engineer, at least part-time, and a system analyst for analyzing integrations, mostly for it.
Okay, in the ideal scenario, but quite often a data engineer, this is something that they'll be familiar with and probably really want to get involved in anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But it's an interesting task, I would say.
No doubt.
Yeah.
How can organizations ensure that the quality and the accuracy of metadata within their data catalog is secure?
Yeah, there are different metrics, and for example, in Data Hub, it's possible to receive events. For example, when a table was updated, how many records it has, and other custom metrics. And it's easier to find this table and to go to a source system from this table. For example, if it describes a Snowflake table, it's possible to go directly to a Snowflake to its web UI from Data Hub. So the integration is really good and it's very useful.
Okay, so I recognize the kind of data lineage there and traceability, but how does that ensure high quality? And I see the transparency there with sending your events and recording everything at the table, but how does that make it high quality and accurate?
It doesn't make a pipeline very reliable and high quality. As I mentioned, it's like a reflection of your data platform. If your data platform is reliable, and so it would be easier to see in a data catalog. But if you have some drawbacks in design, architecture, so it's possible to see it also in data catalog via data quality checks. So in Data Hub, for example, you could make data quality checks that run when there is an ingestion, and you could see are there any failures or not. But data catalog doesn't solve a design question with your data platform. So it's like a cherry on a pie, but not the pie itself. So.
Or and the pie or the house has to be built correctly
Exactly.
with the right data from analysts coming in. Okay, super.
It's not about data, it's about pipeline, how you deliver data, how you make sure that the pipeline is correct, that you don't miss any data, how you solve edge cases, and there are a lot of them. So.
The data that we grab is up to the business stakeholders and, say, analysts, for example, on the more commercial side. Okay, so we have data engineers and analysts and hopefully DevOps or data ops engineers to implement and data engineers to maintain. How about the organization, business stakeholders? How can a data catalog be then used by the stakeholders?
For data observability, so for example, our case, so we have a lot of reports in Slack, business metrics, and our stakeholders want to see whether this data is fresh, is it correct or not, and it's possible to go from a Slack report in Slack to a data catalog and see more details there. So it's one of the cases.
Interesting. Okay. I like it. It sounds like businesses, need to invest and no doubt do invest in these tools. Okay. If a business has invested and implemented a data catalog, more than just a tables and event reminders, how can they measure the success of their investment, if you like, of the solution that they're using?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know an exact metric how to measure this investment.
Okay.
There could be some practical cases. For example, if you see a report in Slack and you go to a data catalog and see whether the data is fresh or not for this report, is one of the cases. Another case is also interesting. For example, if you onboard a new member, a new data analyst, you could provide a data catalog and see whether he or she has more questions that he or she is not able to answer with the help of a data catalog. Yeah, these are the basic value. The thought also about another case, it's more complicated, is also about AI. So in data catalog, we have all the metadata from different sources. And sometimes business stakeholders, they don't know SQL, and it would be great to allow them to ask data catalog in via text. For example, how many active customers do we have today? How many customers did we have a month ago, and so on. And it's possible to implement via data catalog. I would think it would be our next task for this year.
Your next task, as in data professionals or Vivid Money?
Yeah.
Who? Is it the next?
For my team, for me and my team. So yeah.
I see. Do you know? Here's the thing then. With the advent and the emergence of AI and data that we take from AI, how can this change data cataloging? And also, the follow-up question to that would be, how can AI effectively, or could AI in time manage data cataloging entirely, where we don't need data engineers?
Yeah, it's a good question. In our case, we don't have classical data engineers. So I see that in industry, a data engineer is a person who implements pipelines in Python. But it's not our case. We don't need data engineers for it. We're just system analysts who know basic SQL. So it's how we solved this topic. But I believe it's a discussion for another time. But I see AI is the main task of AI in our case is to help stakeholders. So not all data is covered by reports. There would be some trick questions that it's quite difficult to find in reports. I would say some ad hoc queries. And data catalog and a database like a Snowflake could help with it. With the proper integration, it's possible. And I see that new products emerge in this area. So they provide a simple input, a simple input for a text, for example, to answer business questions. Yeah, I believe it would be an integral part of a data catalog in the next iterations.
You think, sorry, is that a reference to AI? You think AI will be integral to future formats of data cataloging?
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think that would serve to change the tasks and activities of data engineers, or in your case, systems analysts, to the point where they need to be more complex in the activities that they're doing, or more basic in the activities they're doing?
Could you please rephrase the question?
Yeah, okay, cool. I guess I'm getting lost in my thoughts here. AI seemingly is going to change data cataloging.
Yeah.
And as we see AI changing lots of positions around data and around tech, how do you think AI will change the role of data engineering relating to data catalogs?
Yeah, it would definitely change the industry, how industry considers a data engineer role. So there would be less this manual routine work, and there would be more task related to business. So I think that data engineer should go deeper into a business domain to understand what business value he or she brings to the table. But this routine task, like making a pipeline, a data ingestion, it would be automated with a data catalog or with another tool. But yeah, definitely with this AI.
Interesting. Okay. What piece or pieces of advice could you give to data leaders or business leaders who are going through an implementation of a data catalog?
Yeah, I would say start small, try to implement basic things and see whether it works for you or not. And if it works, it's better to go with an MVP to define a scope, yeah, to make some plan and get resources for this task.
Okay. Is open source always the way for you? Would you recommend that across different industries?
It depends on the team. If a team is experienced, open source is the way to go. But if a team small, if it's a really small startup, I would say it's better to go with the cloud and yeah, use cloud providers.
Okay, good to know. Leonid, thanks so much for your insights today. Thank you for allowing me to try to drill down in your knowledge of data cataloging. I can tell it's something that you spend a lot of time invested in.
Yeah, my pleasure, Joseph. Thanks for having me.